A recent survey conducted by the NCAA itself reveals college athletes are dealing with exhaustion, anxiety, and depression.
Being an athlete is both physically and mentally demanding, and it can take a serious toll on one's mental health.
Pressures from success, scholarships, and yes, even sponsorships have helped lead to a mental health crisis in college sports.
Mental health matters. That's the important message, getting some extra attention after a recent rise in suicides among college athletes.
Suicide is now the second most common cause of death in this group.
The recent suicides of 3 prominent student athletes are bringing attention to the added pressure and stress many athletes face.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Every day is a win if you're alive.
Man, I'm doing good.
Today, pretty good. Weather's nice. So good today.
Just kind of overwhelmed, you know.
Stressed overall, but good. I'm in a good headspace.
A little nervous as far as grades and school comes.
Right now we're doing awesome, but if you would have asked me at the beginning of last semester, I would have told you, like, I was in tears.
Two hands, there you go. Catch for one hand, scoop always two. Hi, Coach Lydia. She's still not saying hi to me, bro. Give her the face of your stick, give it to her. Okay, Nari, you just chucked it at her. You're gonna kill her. Left hand, one handed is brutal. Like, not like, you know? That's my shooting. Yeah, you're trying to shoot it at Ayana. She's not a goal, but she is a catch. Hey, yo. Lydia! Thank God, she finally said hi to me, bro. There we go.
I think a lot of athletes struggle with their mental health because they're in more intense sports. Like I know like our volleyball team here, or like softball, or basketball even, they have like intense practices, you know, going late into the night and waking up early in the morning. They really have to like work hard to like secure their spot.
Having teammates and coaches and even, you know, family pressure on you to keep, you know, doing the best that you can, that's a lot. And me personally, like, I'm a perfectionist. I have been for as long as I can remember. So a lot of it is self-done.
It's been a lot, you know, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's practices in the morning, it's lifts in the afternoon, and then in classes in between and homework after.
You know, it's very common that a person's sense of self, sense of accomplishment, sense of order, routine, strategies for balancing their lives are shaped by their involvement with their sport.
They're potentially more at risk for burnout, especially if, like, I know some of our athletes on our campus in particular play multiple sports, so they never have an off season. It's like the pressures from their sport, whether it's from their coach or their parents or from themselves, just like being in that competitive environment could potentially play a role.
It is not uncommon that student athletes have people around them sort of all the time, sort of saying where they need to be, when they need to show up, what they need to do. And so I think that there can be certainly a lot of pride and self-efficacy and accomplishment that is part of an athlete's identity during college.
Good job, Ariel. Addicted to your touch. She's so good. Cora, can you skip this? What is your hate on? Cora!
I did not expect that.
I originally played here as a softball player. I came here as a softball player. I grew up playing softball for 13 years, and I absolutely love the sport. It was my pride and joy, and I wanted to continue it through my college years.
When you come into any sports team, regardless of what level that's at, there's a sense of community. So I think the girls that I was on the team with here motivated me to keep going. I was at a point this past season, it was my 9th year playing, so I've been doing it for so long, you know. I still love the sport. I have a lot of love for the sport, but I felt like if I was to step back, it would be letting myself down and letting down my team.
I came in bright-eyed thinking, oh, maybe this year I'll get some playing time now that I'm not a freshman and I can really prove myself and show myself. And throughout that year, I eventually found out that that wasn't going to be possible for me.
Program at the time was creating for us is we need to be good on the court and in the classroom, which is a good mindset to have, and it was well intentioned. However, if you start to get more toxic with it and create the environment where it feels like you can't fail, that's where the mental health kind of starts to play in.
You know, I truly believe that as people, we're our own worst enemies in the sense of being too hard on ourselves.
So I went in and would go back to the bullpen, and I would be the first one there. And then I would always get called off to the side, and they would tell me to be the last one to catch.
Competition can just put overall stress on you, and that can manifest in a couple of those ways. That can especially be more likely if they associate winning with their self-worth and like how they view themselves. Burnout, like we already mentioned, it could lead to perfectionistic tendencies, fear of failure, and then pressure to meet expectations that could again come from internally from themselves, from their coaches or their parents.
So I don't bring my defender to you. Sometimes I just freak out and run straight. So sometimes I don't know, but I think in this game tomorrow, Saturday, there's going to be the back pass a lot. Here, Jordan! You're just like going straight, and I was like, okay, yes, but make sure you're like cutting away and like coming as like a help. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. All right, now what I want you to do, okay, we're either gonna find Liv.
I think the expectation to perform can be really hard because you're like juggling two areas of your life, and sometimes you have to sacrifice your athletics for your academics or vice versa.
A couple of the coaches were talking, and one of the coaches said that me as a catcher, I was never going to see the field because I was too mentally slow to be able to understand what was going on in the game. And I would only ever be a bullpen catcher. And coming as someone who did have learning difficulties when they were young and worked through them, it was hard hearing that. Throughout that time, I did develop an eating disorder because I just felt really bad about myself mentally, so I thought that I could fix it physically, to the point where most days I didn't eat anything. I would go practice, I would have nothing in my stomach. Those days I didn't want to come out of my room. I would sit there and either sleep or just lay in my bed looking at the wall.
Burnout could also manifest as like self-doubt, like doubting their abilities, and that in turn affects their performance and how they play. Overall loss of motivation and lack of interest.
It's really hard work to be an athlete. So if you're not motivated from within, it's really quick to hit that burnout.
And decided that my mental health is more important than me feeling like I need to prove myself.
When a person is leaving an area that's been part of their life for so long, they can feel sort of lost.
The first time in their lives that they haven't had packed schedules with people telling them what to do at each, moment in time. I mean, other than down season, right? But like wide open, like loss of routine, rhythm, and structure. And that could be really difficult for athletes to adapt to.
So if you think back to 25 years ago, I'm not sure. Well, one, I wasn't very old then, but I don't think mental health was discussed maybe at all 25 years ago, probably.
I think it just goes back to like trying to be a trusted person that they could go to. I will always keep things confidential. I will never tell anybody anything unless we need to get you help. And I think our athletes know that I'm a trusted source that they could go to. So I think that's what I provide. I think that's what the space provides as well.
18 to 22-year-olds go through a tremendous amount of growth. I would argue probably more than any other adult demographic.
I think more often than not, like the problems are the same, if that makes sense. I think is one of my big takeaways, which I think is encouraging to a certain extent, which is something we we try to get across to our coaches too, is like, even the coach that you're competing against, right? When you're when you're coaching a game, like they're doing the same thing that you're doing, going through coaching athletes, dealing with the same struggles that you are too.
I need to shut up and run.
Yeah, shut up and run. No, just run. Be you, but run.
Be you and run.
Be you and run.
Hey, we're gonna have pick boot camp, okay? Because y'all are still really confused by picks.
Oh, team,
and it's no hate, but also y'all have been playing for like a week.
It's kind of like a silent hustle. It's like if you pay attention, you realize it, and you can see the progress, but they're not like in your face about it. I'm gonna give it to Ariana.
Yay! And then Jordan, you're gonna be all up on Maddie. Or all up on me. All up on me. Okay, ready?
Oh, you have me, babe. I know.
There we go. Good job, Jordan. Okay, you got it. You gotta immediately look for me.
Okay.
Okay, y'all got it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome. Picks are hard.
Family on me, family on 3.
1, 2, 3, family! Woo!
I think for me, what I try to do is try to make some things fun. For sure, like maybe a little competition at the end, or like whatever it is. So not everything is like so hard all the time. I try my best to get to know our athletes on like a personal basis, so they can be able to have conversations, have it be a little bit light and friendly, but still intense and focused at the same time. It can't be 11 out of 10 all the time, or no one's gonna want to do it, and it's gonna be super draining. So you have to meet them at a halfway point.
I think the biggest thing that I do, again, it goes back to sort of creating those relationships, and throughout my years in college athletics, I've gone through my ebbs and flows of different struggles and adversity and whatnot, and so I try to be relatable, I think, as much as I can.
I had a friend on the swim team at the time, and so I wanted to go support them. At the Pacer Invitational, I went to go and do timing, and I was watching everyone swim, and I said, I want that again. I want to feel that adrenaline, that love for sport again.
During those hard moments during the season where I wanted to take a step back and wanted to just remove volleyball from my life, I sat down and really just thought, I'm gonna play for that girl that fell in love with the sport.
Being able to be here and be in college, and with that be an athlete, and with that having a community of people to rely on, I feel like a lot of people don't see that. And if we could go out in the community and really just spread the gospel and spread the word, I feel like seeing those people and seeing the joy on their faces just from a new person coming to share their joy with them, it could lift a lot of spirits and help us kind of look at the big picture.
And there was a person that fell in love with that game, however many years ago it was. So just remembering that, like during season, I had to remind myself there was a little girl who fell in love with this game. There was a reason she kept pushing, and there was a senior in high school who decided she wasn't done with that sport. So just remembering, where you came from and why you got there in the first place.
If I could go back in time and say you should do swimming instead of softball, I totally would. I really wish I still had those years of swimming, but I do not regret it one bit.
A lot of like our athletes, like even Michael Phelps, when he said that he went to therapy and he did a lot of commercials promoting therapy, I think it's changed a lot, kind of like trickled down to all levels of athletics. And I also think us as a society are taking mental health more seriously with all like the rising deaths and like suicide in our youth. So I think it's just becoming a better world.